And that's why I like the title of your podcast also, Zara Hatke.
Hatke.
And you'll find this is not Zara Hatke, it's a lot Hatke. So the name Humantronic actually signifies Humantronic, which is, on its own. But also not just AI as software, but AI in the physical world.
Hi, I am Aarti Marathe. Welcome to Zara Hatke People podcast from the CXO's desk. I sat down and had an amazing conversation with Monish Darda, co-founder of Humanronic, an enterprise AI company. Monish has talked about his vision of Humanronic AI, his life story, and his entrepreneurship. If you are passionate about technology, cloud computing, AI, enterprise software, and would like to become an entrepreneur who would make a global impact, then you are in for an amazing conversation. Hi Monish.
Hi Aarti.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Welcome to the brand new series of Zara Hatke People, which is from CXO's desk.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And when I say CXO, the first name popped up is, of course, you, because I look up to you.
Right.
And
So
who else would start this wonderful series other than you? Because you inspire me and so many others.
thank
So
you.
I wanted to sit down and have a conversation, to know about your life journey from CXO.
Which you already know a
I
lot
know,
of.
yeah,
Right?
but it would be really good if we start with the latest venture,
Absolutely.
yeah, which is Humantronic.
Yes.
So would like to know about it. And when we say Humantronic, I think somewhere Humantronic and AI connect. And I think lot of times you have talked about human-centric AI. So what tasks should always remain human-led? And is AI making us smarter, or is it creating a dependency that would weaken our critical thinking? Maybe from Humantronic angle, or you can start with latest venture and eventually we can go to AI.
Absolutely. And that's why I like the title of your podcast also, Zara Hatke.
Hatke People.
And you'll find this is not Zara Hatke, it's a lot Hatke.
Yes,
I think I have a very
definitely.
different view of how AI and humans work together. So the name Humantronic actually signifies human-tronic, which is, on its own, AI, if you call it, but also not just AI as software, but AI in the physical world, like robotics, for example, right? So humans and, AI come together on many different terms and in many different ways. So the way to think about this is, if you today, if you're looking at AI is, people are first worried about, hey, is it going to take up my job?
Yes.
Right? Is it going to stall creativity? Is it going to, make people redundant? Right? All of these, there's a lot of discussion. I don't have to go in there. What many people maybe do not realize yet is that AI is inevitable.
Yes.
It is like the internet, right?
Yes.
Now you can't stop the internet. It is like electricity. You can't stop electricity, right? It's like the wheel. You can't say, I want a world with no wheels, right? So it will be an integral part of us. But beyond that, AI is now getting so evolved that I don't think there is any doubt in my mind that AI and humans will meld together.
Okay.
What do I mean by meld?
Yeah.
You are a painter. You're supposed to be creative, right? Or you are a poet. You're supposed to be creative. Obviously, your creativity is a very human trait. And we try to distinguish today, AI is not creative. It only knows what it learns. And it cannot be creative.
It can be trained, is what we say.
It can be trained. But if you think about the human mind, and my daughter being a neuroscientist helps in this thinking, we are also trained from the beginning when we grow, when we are infants, in terms of how to react with the world.
Correct.
Right in the womb, not just outside. So you start our training with that, and we are trained. And AI is trained very similarly, but it's trained on a much wider database, right? The world's knowledge, books that we would never read in our lifetimes, tweets that we would never see in our lifetimes and videos we would never watch in our lifetimes all go in training a model, right? So the thesis that we started with a Humantronic was the approach that, if you think about AI, the approach that humans should only be involved in case of a escalation and everything AI should do, or humans should use AI as assistants, is probably the wrong model.
Is it?
The model should be that how do humans and AI work together, absolutely together, every step of the way. So to do that, the first step, my thinking was that if I had to make AI one with my life, what would I need to do? And the obvious answer was, oh, I would need a model that understood me and reflected me.
Correct.
So we started with what we called hyper-personalized human language models.
Okay.
Hyper-personalized because they're not just personalized, they're hyper-personalized to you, the way you think, right? So we took 6, and because we are obviously focused on the enterprise and the use cases in the enterprise, we said, as a leader or as someone who works in an enterprise, how do you do your work? And we came up with 6 things.
Okay.
That everything that you do, you wake up in the morning, you respond to an email, you go on a call, you do something in the day, it falls into one of 6 buckets. Either you're deciding, you're taking a decision saying, hey, should I hire this person or that person? Should I put $5,000 here or $10,000 here? Which tool should I use? I'm taking decisions. I'm delegating. Oh, this I don't want to deal with. Aarti, can you please take a look at it? Right? Or I say, hey, my salesperson is the best person to handle this thread. Can I delegate it to him or her?
Correct.
All that is delegating. The third one I'm doing is analyzing. I get an email, I start thinking, oh, what happens if I do this? And should I do some research on pricing, or should I do some research on this particular technology? Will it fit properly with what I'm doing as my business? Or should I, research my partner? So this analysis falls in that third bucket, right? That we analyze constantly, right? The fourth one, which is very interesting, is creativity. I looked at my entire iCertis journey, which spanned 17 years, and I identified about 50 emails where I started the email. Think about how many times you do a new email and you start a new idea and a new thread.
Yes.
And what happens to that thread over time. And I followed these 50 emails over many years. And I found that one small idea can actually make a big change in the future of a company.
Amazing.
Right? So now you think about creativity like that. Right? You come up with an idea. What happens with the idea? Some ideas just disappear.
Yes.
But some ideas actually go through that execution and they actually produce results. And you want to make sure that most of your good ideas actually produce results. But the reality is 99% of them just vanish because execution is far behind creation. So we handle that creativity aspect of the human brain.
Okay.
And then you respond, right? That's the fifth thing you do. You say, I will meet you at 5 p.m. No, not 5 p.m. I'll meet you next week. Or I send you a hi and say, hey, will you do a podcast with me? Yeah. That is all responding, right? And then the last one is coaching. I either get coached, somebody tells me, Monish, you are wrong here, or maybe you can think of doing this. Or I tell someone, hey, can you figure this out? Maybe you do a training in this area. Or maybe, today in today's sales call, you should have said this. Those are coaching moments. So if you look at what a leader does in their whole workday, it falls in one of these 6 buckets.
Okay.
And we hyper personalize through a model all these 6 things so that you can be a better leader, and more importantly, you can scale that skill across the organization.
Okay. So I got the idea of these 6 buckets and how a leader should be. But if I consider, so what are you actually creating?
We're creating a hyper-personalized language
model. Got it.
And we call it a human language model because it's supposed to work with a human. You cannot separate the human and say the model will work on its own. So it will work with you in your inbox, in your teams, in the applications that you use daily, and it will, first of all, try to make decisions the way you do. And then when it is successful, you can leave some of the decisions to it. So they are automated. And then finally, the vision, if you think about what is the vision of Humantronic, finally you get to a stage where most of this you can automate. And that goes to our vision, which says we are building the foundation for the autonomous enterprise.
So currently, when people are creating these AI agents, right, they are on LLM, large language
Correct.
model. So how this model, or I won't say agent, as you said, automated work, because that's what AI agents do right now. How this would be different than the current AI models?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So if you think about how you take a decision, right? You remember some things that you've done in the
Yes.
past.
Yes.
You use that knowledge, tribal knowledge. You use some training. You use something called intuition. Intuition is nurture plus some nature, but also nurture. So your personality comes in. It also, if you really analyze it, also depends on, how your day started. Were you angry? Were you happy? Your decisions sometimes reflect that. So your emotional content.
Yeah.
But if you look overall as a pattern, some of these things directly uh, come together in terms of how you make decisions. Okay. When a frontier model, like a Claude or an OpenAI is trained, it is trained on the world's knowledge.
Yes.
But while making decisions, it is as important to forget as it is important to remember.
Okay.
Right? So you have to forget some of your biases. You have to forget some of the things that you did wrong. You have to forget some of the things that now don't work in today's world. And frontier models are not very good at that because they're trained on the world knowledge. Right? So they will give you overall an average response unless you are very good at fine tuning, which most of us are not. Right? Or prompt engineering, which most of us are
Yes, we are not.
right? So now what human language models like Humanronic do is they go in there and they will reflect your thinking, not everybody else's thinking in the world, but your thinking. So this whole thing about will humans be redundant? My answer is very simple. They cannot be redundant, but you cannot separate the humans from the AI going forward. They have to be part of you, right? And that's the theory and the hypothesis behind Humanronic.
Yeah. So that's where my next question goes. So you already answered, but still, if you can add anything more, what does the ideal collaboration between humans and AI look like? Maybe let's say in 2030, it's like 4 years,
4 years from now? That's a great question. Looking into the crystal ball, if I can look at it. As you know, I'm a big fan of Isaac Asimov, right?
Yes.
One of the one of the worlds that he predicted was um, obviously there will be robots and they will do everything for you. So, for example, I don't like this office. I deploy 100 robots because energy is cheap, compute is cheap, AI is built into the robots. The robots have a swarm intelligence, so they can work together. And in 15 minutes, this whole office can be transformed into completely different thing, right? Because now I have infinite power, infinite compute, infinite AI, which is where we are moving, right? What I'm hoping will happen, uh, also a little bit excited about what will happen, is if you think, and now I'm talking about humanity and philosophy as well, right? As you know, I love doing that. If I have to think about the three problems that are facing humanity, one with AI is compute, right? Everybody is now hungry for compute. Your GPUs, NVIDIA is trillions of dollars in valuation. Never thought a company like that would go to that height. No company in the world has done that before. The second is power. Everybody is hungry for power. They were putting data centers, but don't know where the power is going to come from, right? So they're taking time to do that. You put that power together. And the third, so once you have compute and then you have power, the third one is the limit of human life, right?
Yes.
So our average is about 70 years, but if humans can live to 200, 300 years, it can change the game. So these are the three big problems in my mind. AI is now focused, and the best talent in the world is actually focused on solving these problems. You look at the recent IPO at SpaceX, Elon, whatever his political allegations or whatever he thinks, he's probably one of the defining personalities in history, in human history. He's thinking that I will get AI, I'll get something like uh, Starlink, and I'll get the ability to send rockets in space at a like at a commodity cost, and I will solve the power problem, and I will solve the communications problem, and I'll obviously solve the AI problem, right?
Okay.
Which is the compute
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So that vision
Hmm.
will get pushed to reality very quickly. So you look at it, SpaceX becomes the largest IPO in history.
Yes.
There's a reason for that.
You
That's why.
recently put it on LinkedIn also. about it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you're seeing all of this coming together there.
Mm.
Compute, power, AI,
Mm.
all coming together.
Mm.
The other thing that is happening, first time in history,
Mm.
there is a drug that is now approved by the FDA for human testing, still test phase,
Mm.
very early. We don't know if it's going to succeed, but first time in history, which claims to reverse aging. Never happened before.
There's one guy, right, who
Brian Johnson
correct
is a billionaire
correct
who is into this whole health thing.
yeah
But
yeah
now there are also language models, superbly trained, personalized language models that will monitor your health and tell you what you have to do every day, what you're eating, what you're exercising, what's your body mass,
yeah
all kinds of
all kinds of
500
things. Yeah,
things, right?
yeah, yeah.
Think about how it will accelerate when AI becomes, really powerful.
Mm.
So now if I look at 4 years, 5 years down the line and
Mm.
all these three converge,
Mm.
we are going to see a world that we have never seen before, not even imagined before for most people, right? And what is going to happen is we'll live longer.
Mm.
There is a very interesting theory called the escape velocity of human aging,
Okay.
right? So, or longevity, as it
Mm.
is called, longevity escape velocity.
Mm.
So, if you manage to stay alive for 5 years
Mm.
from today,
Mm.
you'll stay alive for 10 more years. If you manage to stay alive for 10 more years, you'll stay alive for another 10
10
years,
years.
right? And so on. Because, this is going to go up, this whole longevity business,
Yeah.
because AI is fueling it. And now, because people who do not have coding experience or drug experience or, deep medical research experience, but are very good at looking at patterns and putting things together, can also contribute to the development of these technologies,
yeah.
right? So in 4 5 years, I think the whole world is going to change. We're going to live longer. We're going to get AI embedded in everything that we do, and we are going to get super compute and super power. And that's why one of the key problems to solve in the world is to convert human intent to outcome, right? That's why people are spending trillions of dollars. That I have this intent, can I get it to become real, right? Can I change this office in 15 minutes? That's my
Correct.
intent. How do I make it real?
Is that the driving force behind Humantronic?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So since we are already on this topic, let's talk about your latest book. So
Okay.
yeah, would love to know. And of course, I'm waiting for my signed copy. But
You'll get it
yes.
right after this. Actually, we
Okay.
should have put it
Maybe
here for you.
exactly. Yeah.
So, so it's interesting.
Hmm.
I was going through a fairly bad phase last year because Samir was my co-founder of 17 years in Icertis, was fighting cancer, and I had wanted a distraction. I'd had this thought about DeepSeek, which is one of the Chinese models that came out a few years ago, and when they announced DeepSeek and they launched it, the stock market saw the single largest fall in value of a company. Nvidia stock went down, and that, because it was already at a very high price, market cap, that fall was the largest in history. Never happened before because of that one announcement.
Oh, okay.
So I'd always been fascinated. I'd been following DeepSeek, obviously, and figuring out, what language models like that are actually doing and how they're progressing. And I had this idea of writing a book about what I call the DeepSeek Moment, where people at that time, when DeepSeek announced, were completely convinced that OpenAI was going to win this AI war, right? Anthropic was trailing quite a bit. Uh, Claude, which was Anthropic's kind of flagship, and then there was Mistral, and there were two or three others, but OpenAI was here. Everybody else was here, right? And everybody thought that unless you have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars and the technology to do it, you can't actually build a foundation model. What DeepSeek proved was you can build a foundation model, you can make it open source. So one of the things that is secret sauce for all of these models is the model weights. How is the model weighted internally so that it can produce the output that it does? DeepSeek said we will open source the weights.
Okay.
Okay, what that means is you can take DeepSeek's model and actually tweak it and train it for your use.
Perfect.
Which you can't do with a foundation model because the weights are not known.
Correct.
You can fine tune, but you can't train. So that was a very big step in the world of AI, where people started thinking, oh wow, if a small company in China can actually do this, we can do it too.
Correct.
And that changed the whole equation forever. Right? So I wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when is it launched?
I think June 14th was when it was released on Amazon.
Okay.
I still need to do a formal launch. We're still thinking about it. So as it happened, my mom also wrote a book.
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of somebody ghost wrote it for her, but she kind of put her life story in, and it's called Danger Dadi.
Okay.
And then so as it happened, we have this, and Koinur is doing the English translation of that book. It's in Marathi.
Okay.
So now she's doing the English translation. So we wanted to put all of this together and do a launch. So hopefully in July.
You are thinking of doing it.
That's right. But it's available on Amazon.
Yeah, definitely. I'll buy it. Okay. So
No, you don't have to.
you're going to gift it to it.
Exactly.
So we talked about the latest venture. Now let's go a little bit back. Storability, storage tech, Sun, Plate Logic, PMC. Of course, Websym before that, and the 40,000 crore rupees profitable unicorn iService. So many different domains, so many different companies, right? And so since you have worked on so many different domains, was the domain shift easy? And how the overall learning curve was? Because I joined Blade Logic, but
Correct.
before that I knew about you. So
No, I think I'm grateful, first of all, that I got to experience so many startups, so many domains, worked with great people like you, learned a lot from the people I worked with always, and I grew as a person, and in the right direction, right? So I'm very grateful for that. I think the domain change, the shift happens in your mind, in the sense that uh, anything that is new is always exciting for me, right?
yeah.
So if it is exciting and then you put the effort in to learn what is going on, then it becomes much easier. Then you don't see it as, hey, is this a new domain? You see it as a, hey, this is a new story in my life, and I would love to start picking up a new book and starting to read, and that makes it really interesting. But it is also hard work.
Correct.
Right? Like, for example, if I pick up a book because I like the cover and it happens to be in Russian, then I'll have to either learn Russian myself or figure out a translation, right? Which by itself today at least are harder, right? So now you have to figure that out. For me, it was always hard work, because I think if you don't put the hours and you don't put the mental focus required in what you do, it is very hard for you to succeed. Right? And success, of course, is defined very differently by different people. It's a very personal thing, right? For me, success always was, hey, am I actually getting the outcome that I started with? What was my intent and where am I? Right? And then if I'm not, is it because I'm doing something wrong, or is it because I need to change my intent? So one of the things I learned was change management was the biggest piece here for yourself also. How do you handle this change? Every company that I was part of, every company that I was part of as a startup, as a group of 5 people, two people, growing to 200, 2000, 5000, was always, can I change? Because it needs me to change. And I'm grateful that I could in many places. In some cases, I had to really train myself and force myself to change. In some cases, it was natural. Okay. And once that happens, domain switching doesn't even enter the picture.
Interesting. Okay. So, through your companies and work, I definitely felt or feel that you have taken India and the IT work at a very different level. And of course, there are many people like you. So,
Not too many. I'm kidding.
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So, and we have talked about Humantronic, we talked about AI, we talked about how world would be in 2030. And since you worked with uh, Indian people in India, like lived here and worked here, do you see that India can become a global AI leader? And if that has to happen, what must be the reality?
No, that's a great question. So when I was growing up as a professional, when I started Websym, at that time in the 90s, um, body shopping,
Yes.
bad word,
Yeah.
body shopping,
Yeah.
essentially sending people on H1 visas to the US was the activity to do, right? People, obviously, a lot of our current services companies also built on that foundation and worked. It really worked. People thought it was bad. In the long term, it turned out to be a huge blessing. It was like, when I was in school and college, people were talking about the brain drain, that, the government invested in IITs, 1 crore or 2 crore rupees per student, and everybody went to the US.
Yes.
And people were talking about the brain drain, and it is so bad, and IIT should be, people should be bonded and not allowed to leave the country. And look what happened after these people who went on, after their IITs, or, because of this body shopping, consulting kind of revolution, so many people went to the US, became people who could actually make decisions and sent a lot of work back to India.
India.
Right?
Yeah.
The services revolution, where I was, part of that services revolution in the beginning, but the aspiration was always, hey, why doesn't India succeed in product development? Software development here for building products for the world, came later, but even for India, that took a long time.
Yes.
Right? But we did it. We have companies that are respected all over the world. You go to the Silicon Valley and you'll see Zoho's ads everywhere. You feel proud that an Indian company built in India, made for India, can now transform itself to make for the world. And that is, to my mind, that is one of the greatest achievements as a country, that you can actually transform the thinking to be global thinking. And we have done it in many sectors. Software becomes obviously the flagship, but we have done it in so many vectors. Now you think about AI, look at the challenges. Um, AI models need skills, but they also need data. Our data is very fractured. As a country, the India stack has produced a lot of data with UPI and UID and all of that is still building. But it is not the data that can be easily turned into model training data. Our, people talk about the Vedas, people talk about their ancient history, and we have so much richness and so on and so forth. But there is no structured knowledge base across the country about all of these in different parts of India. We are so varied, so rich. But the basic foundation that is needed to actually put that data together, like a Facebook, like a Twitter, even though a lot of it is nonsensical data, it gives you a fabric. We don't have that fabric. We are still dependent on the Western world, right? We still end up using Facebook and X and LinkedIn and so on and so forth to build the structure that is needed for large language models to be built. Companies like Servam are trying. The government is trying. The government is trying to put together this, but it's a long journey. So the short answer is, in the short term, it will be hard for us to become a leader. In the long term, we have the capacity. We have the largest English speaking population in the world. We are a very thriving and a very live economy. We don't have the constraints of other countries like China, which is viewed to be a little bit more autocratic and constrained. So we have the freedom to express ourselves and to build that structure, that human structure that is needed to get that data in a way that can actually build and power some of our models. And the same thing with Humantronic. We want to build models for India. We want to build models that will actually show, how a human being in India can actually interact and take these decisions and delegate and analyze and create and respond and coach. And we want to build it for the Indian ethos, right? So something to think about. I think there is a lot to be done here, but we have the potential.
Correct.
So you want to make sure that the potential comes out. And again, it's intent to outcome transformation.
Yeah.
Right?
So as you said, data is fractured. So I guess that is a sector where people should work if we want to become a global leader in AI.
That is
That
one
is
of
the
the
short
foundational things that is needed.
Correct.
For sure.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So since we were on body shopping, and so I had that question from a very long time, that you founded Websym in 1998, when people were literally like, they used to call like wari, like people. My husband went there, so 7-8 people every single day were going there.
Right.
So when so many people were going there, and the main intention maybe for companies was body shopping, but people were going there to earn money, right? Dollar was like always, still
Arbitrage
it is,
still there.
So what was your thought process when you came back here? Was there any prediction you thought of that time, that you never know that India will become a biggest population working in IT industry, something like that? And the second question is, while doing this, you actually are a mechanical engineer, but then you shifted to IT or software industry. So how all these things have happened?
Yeah. So very interesting. So first of all, I was not a visionary. I didn't come back because I thought India would be a much bigger opportunity for me or my career. I think I came back because I felt more comfortable in India.
Okay.
That was the only reason. I think I just felt more comfortable in India. I wanted to be with my family. We are very close. We are extremely close actually. If I look at most of the people around me, my family probably feels like it is one of the closer families that I've known. Right. So we are very close, and I always wanted to come back. As you probably remember, I was already married when I went to the US. So my wife was also a very deciding factor on, hey, Monish, let's go back. Right. So it was an easy decision for me. It was not a visionary decision. So mechanical engineering, essentially at that time, even today, I love working with my hands and putting things together. I'm a gadget freak as well.
Yes.
So I love that aspect of it. But even in college, I was doing a lot of programming.
Okay.
Right. So I remember I went to Maharashtra Institute of Technology, MIT in Pune, and this was the first batch. And that was the first batch where you had computer science as a degree. Right. So the first CS degree that started was actually by MIT in Pune. And I used to help all my friends in CS to actually do their assignments.
Is it?
So yeah, because I loved it. So so and I was good at it. So I always thought mechanical engineering and software were joined to the hip. That you could not be a better mechanical engineer till you knew this new thing that was called computer science. And I was fascinated by it. And so it was not surprising that when I came back, I I was passionate and still am about cars and motorcycles. So when I came back after my master's, I spent 3 years in the Automotive Research Association of India. I walked into it, there's a guy there, a director level guy, very senior, very nice guy, who was a PhD from, uh, I forget, but one of the Ivy League schools. And he said, "What are you doing? Why don't you join me?" And I said, "Wow, this is great. I can work with cars and motorcycles and engines, and I can do a lot of software." So I did a lot of software in ARI. We actually developed one of the first electronic data acquisition systems at 1 million samples per second inside the engine cylinder, real time. in ARAI. And so I spent 3 years, and then I started Websym.
Okay. So
Right?
what was the driving force to start Websym, if I would say?
So that was interesting. A friend of mine who I went to school in the US when I was doing my master's, he came back after a couple of years when I was in ARAI, and he convinced me. He said, Monish, why are you working? Why don't we start a company?
Oh.
So that's how I started. I ended up starting
What's his name?
Unmesh.
Unmesh.
Yes. So Unmesh and I started our first company in Websym Technologies.
Yeah.
And we grew it, we nurtured it. Then we started this build, operate, transfer model. That's how I started getting involved in other startups. And then I took up, then Storability happened, then Blade Logic happened, then Icertis happened. So Humanronic is my 9th startup.
Correct.
By that count.
Correct. So looking at this entrepreneurial journey, like you're far ahead from entrepreneurship, I would say. Like, was there anyone at your home who was, already an entrepreneur or had a business?
Yeah. So my dad used to work for many years in his career, and my mom used to work in a bank. And my dad actually, where he was working, they had a strike.
Okay.
So he came out, and then the strike continued for months, not few days, but months. And he said, okay, let me start something on my own. So he started a small mechanical engineering workshop when I was in college. So this happened when I was in college.
When you're doing mechanical engineering? No.
When I was doing mechanical engineering.
Amazing. Okay.
So then I also got excited. I said, hey, this is great. I'll also help. So I started helping him. And then I went to the US. Then I came back. When I came back, I said, Dad, this is not going to scale. This is very hard. And at that time, the Chinese kind of goods were flooding the market. So I said, hey, this is like very different. And I'm loving this whole thing about software, because even in my master's, 80% of my work was actually writing a lot of code. So he said, yeah, maybe, you can do what you want. And that's how I started. Obviously I went to ARAI because, that was my passion. I did a lot of software, and then Websym happened. So I started on my entrepreneurial journey. So the only job I held ever in my professional career was really the first ARAI job, which I still remember fondly.
Right. So do you think this whole entrepreneur journey has shaped your leadership style? Because we have seen you writing VMware code by sitting with us. At the same time, you went for so many different meetings and Blade Logic went public, right?
That's right.
At the same time, even if you are like going at a larger scale, you actually knew what I was doing, or maybe Karan was doing, or someone else was doing. So what exactly, because your leadership style is very different than the people with I worked afterwards. So is there an impact of the earlier entrepreneur journey on your leadership style?
I don't think it is the entrepreneurial journey. Maybe it is. I mean, if I think about that, maybe it shaped it, because I think it does shape you in a different way. ते म्हणतात ना, आपण आगीतून तावून सुलाखून निघतो. In Marathi, you say that, right? When you are it's a test by fire. So you learn to be empathetic to people. You learn to be closer to people. You realize that you can't do everything. You have to have people around you that will support you, that will help you, realize your objectives. Maybe it was part that was, I think, just how we worked in the family. We depended on each other, we confided in each other. I remember having my first cigarette, coming home and telling my mom, hey, I had a cigarette. And she said, oh, did you enjoy it? She never got mad at me.
Correct.
And I said, no, it was. And she said, yeah, it was like I coughed and sneezed. And she said, okay, if you start smoking, let me know. So it wasn't like, you can't do this and this is bad. And she said, you figure it out. You know what is bad and what is good. You can figure it out. Similarly, my first alcohol, when I had my first beer, it was with my dad. So I knew that these connects were very important, right? When you connect with people, You motivate them, you get motivated, you build off the energies of people. And maybe that helped me in my entrepreneurial journey, because I think also then you attract people who are more like you.
Correct.
Right? And that becomes, a huge thing, because even today in Humantronic, the people, we got on board, including Dhanashree, who runs our marketing, my co-founders, Kabir, who was on the board of iCertis for 10 years. So I've known him for like since 2015, 2014.
Okay.
Right. Then the 20-year-old kid, Archit, who walked into my home, called me uncle and said, I want some advice. And then we got to talking as a dropout from Stanford. Came here, started a company, 9 months, went to 300, more than $500,000 ARR. And he said, so he came for advice. Then he heard what I was doing in Humantronic. And he said, I'm very excited. I want to join. And so, these things, I believe, attracts people who are similar to you in some sense, because you feel the vibe, you feel the energy, you feel, the compatibility, and it works. And I think I've been very grateful to be surrounded by people I've always enjoyed working with. So obviously I was interested in what you were doing, and Karan, what Karan was doing, and what everybody else was doing, because I was genuinely interested in people. And I loved being around with them.
So every startup pitch deck has a slide called Why Now? Looking back, what was your why now? And how was this? You talked a lot about it, but as a CTO or CEO, how do you know when to trust data versus when to trust your own gut?
No, that is actually a very hard question to answer. I'll go back to Isaac Asimov. I love that. So he wrote a series, like defining science fiction series, called the Foundation series. Okay? One of the Foundation books describes a scene where there's a planetary intelligence, like really powerful, that can mold people's minds. And there is this first foundation and second foundation who are physical, like they have spaceships and really high technology and so on. And the second foundation can control minds, just like the planetary intelligence. And they all converge with one person who has to decide which is going to be the fate of humanity. Should it be a planetary intelligence? Should it be the physical kind of prowess? Should it be the mental prowess of the second foundation? And this person is confused. He asks all of them, why am I making the decision, right, of the fate of humanity? And the answer is very revealing. So the answer he gets from the planetary intelligence is, there are very few resources in the universe that can reach the correct decision based on very limited and incomplete data. You are one of them. Okay. Now think about the psychological aspects of that. You have very little data. You want to make 10 decisions. And if you make 8 of them correctly, you will call it, hey man, this guy has intuition, gut, whatever, really knows when, like investments, for example, is a very clear. Correct. And Junjunwala, what did he have? He was like, or Warren Buffett. But it goes beyond that. It's also how your brain actually picks up patterns, even from very little or incomplete data. I think that's a gift. And I think I would go and say that, first of all, I also had the courage to make decisions. Most of the things that people don't do is because they don't take decisions. Definitely. And I always say, you can write code which is completely bug free if you don't write any code. so you have to, if you have to do that, and whether it is wrong or right, you have to take that decision. And then if you have this, whatever you call it, intuition, but I call it more hard work, if you go deep and you understand psychologically, your brain kind of gets tuned to coming to the right conclusion in most cases, not all cases. And you're not afraid of taking a decision and being wrong. Then automatically this kind of comes in you. I think people overanalyze many times. They think they trust the data, but the data is wrong. They don't know what data they want to look at. All things cannot come right. So at some point you have to let go and you have to say, okay, what do I feel is the right decision? And let the subconscious mind do this for you. And over the years, I've kind of turned it into an art in my mind,
Is
right?
it?
How to do it, how to think about it. So even when I started Humantronic, and I was figuring out what the story should be, what the mission should be, what the vision should be, I just took a deep breath and said, okay, now let me, see what naturally comes to mind. That helps.
So you do something, take a risk, see whether it works. I think almost all the time it worked for you.
No,
No?
no, I've had a lot of failures. I think more failures than I have had successes. So, out of the 9 startups, 3 didn't work at all, right? So, uh, there's always this, uh, I think, interesting part, that when you take a decision, are you afraid of the outcome? If you're not afraid of the outcome, then your ability to take a better decision increases, right? And I've always tried to push myself. What's the worst thing that can go wrong, right? And then I weigh it by, what if it is right? There was a very interesting thing that Satya Nadella said. He came to our US office in iCertis, and when you think about a decision, when you think about doing something, focus on what if it could work, as opposed to what happens if it doesn't work. And then you light up, because if it's a good idea, in your mind at least, and if the outcome can be very good, then you can be energized by it. And I think about, if it works, what happens, is a very positive attitude to life.
Interesting. So, Monish, during all this journey, of course, as you already talked about your family, so family support is very important. So, how does your family handle all these pressures? One. Second, how do you find this work life balance and then work on your fitness or your hobbies? How do you achieve that? Like, while doing all so many things.
Yeah, you're sitting in this office, you're seeing all the mess and the gadgets around you, right? So I find time to do all kinds of stuff, right? Including skydiving to, photography to video games. I love playing video games, right? I've loved it forever. Uh, I think the family thing is fairly easy. I think, we have had this way of thinking that I've only been able to crystallize in words in the last, few years, maybe a couple of years. Um, Especially when you you get rich beyond what you think you would ever achieve in your life, right? That happened to me. I never thought I would get 1 crore when I was a kid. Then I never thought I would get 10 crores when I was a kid, and so on. So but we came to think about, as a family, came to think about what we call the minimal viable lifestyle. Right? What is the minimum viable lifestyle that I don't want to go below, and I'm very happy if I get to that. Okay. After that, you can consider it wealth, you can consider it disposable income, you can consider it luxury, whatever you do, as long as you have that minimal viable lifestyle, you're happy. Right? That's what Elon Musk did, by the way. He said, I'll give away all of my wealth that I've created in PayPal to do something which I believe in completely. I don't care if all my wealth goes away. Because I guess he had set up what he wanted as the minimum viable lifestyle. Amazing. That's what the whole family has come to. Hey, we are comfortable. We want a house. We want a car. That's it. And then, do you want a helicopter or do you want a plane? Is not a question we even ask. Right. So that MVL, which obviously we are also understand, we are very privileged because of where we are now. But we came from, I remember when I was a kid, staying in one room with 9 people uh, in a chawl, where the toilet was outside, where you had to wait half an hour to get in. And so I know where we came from. And I never forgot that, which obviously you don't forget when you go through that. But also the value of that minimum viable lifestyle is also something that gets ingrained in your mind. Once you do that, then family becomes part of your life. The support becomes part of your life. the days I work 14-hour days become part of your life. I know my wife Kalpana has never complained. Most of the time in the last 30 years, I've not been in Pune for our wedding anniversary, for her birthday, for my birthday. And she's been pragmatic. She said, oh, we celebrate every day.
Correct.
What is
We don't
special
need a
about
special
this?
day. Yeah.
So then we find those moments, and they don't have to be tied to a date. They don't have to be tied to a place. We find those moments when we can, and that helps hugely, massively, because I don't have to worry about that part of my life at all.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Talk about your gadgets.
I don't know where to start. I think you should ask Kalpana this question, right? But no, I've always loved gadgets. I don't know where to start. I think nowadays my interesting gadget is probably a collection of drones. I have about a dozen drones.
Yes, I remember we have done it in your farmhouse.
Exactly. So I have drones that can fly off your hand, and slightly bigger ones as well. More interesting, I think recently the more interesting gadgets probably have been these wearable goggles, where you see a big screen and a big display. They've been actually very good. The Meta display especially has been hard to find, but when I found it, it's actually been very exciting. You wear this neural band and you use finger gestures to control it. So that's been very interesting. I love monitors. You can see the huge monitor that I love, which is the what they call the ultra wides, right? So that's there. I think the photography has gone to a very different level now. I used to be a very avid photographer in college.
Okay.
Once the digital kind of thing started, digital cameras came in, I lost interest. I thought, the art was gone. And then a few years later, I discovered it again because I got to learn Photoshop and Lightroom. And then I thought, man, there is a very creative side of photography after the photo is taken. So then I got interested again. And so I have lots of gadgets around my cameras. And I have a full photo printer that I love because I think holding a print in your hand is always a different emotion than viewing it on a screen. So I love to print. What else? And a bunch of think about it. I have a gadget, right?
How do you find time for all these things? Like you have such a busy schedule.
Schedule is that's why it's called a schedule, right? You put your time. So even my lunch is on my calendar. Time with Isra, my granddaughter, is on my calendar. Obviously, I break the rules all the time, but it is good to kind of put a time on the calendar. So, Kohinoor, my daughter, and I always have this shared calendar where she will say, "Hey, this is Isra school time. This is, this is where I'm going to be in Maldives for 4 days, or I'm going to be in Delhi for 4 days." And so we plan it out in such a way that we always find time for each other, and especially when if somebody is not feeling well, or they're going through a crisis, then we are all there, right? Then it doesn't matter what we're working on. So finding time for gadgets for family needs planning.
Correct.
And Humanronic helps you do that as well right now. So now I have my own hyper personalized model to figure that life part of my life out.
Yeah, these 6 buckets are always going to remembered by me. Yeah. So I asked you this question before also, Monish. Don't you feel like stopping? You said no, everything excites me. So what's your mantra, which you want to share with us?
There's no mantra. I think some people, I have a friend who decided to retire. And I said, "Are you sure? What will you do?" And he said, "I have 500 things mapped out. And I love what he's doing with his life. I absolutely love it. Would I do it? No.
No.
Right? But what he does and the way he is, and his wife, they're going about it, just brilliant. That is what people should do, right? You have to figure out what you want in life, and then you go for it, right? I know in my phase also in my career, when I started Websym, we came to a phase, my co-founder and I, where we were living a very comfortable life, right? It was a lifestyle company. We got a lot of money, we had a lot of fun, we got what we wanted. We could, save enough money to build a house, buy a car, all of that. One day I woke up and I said, no, this is not enough. But that is me. Not everybody should think about it, right? We are all different. So I think it is all about what you want in life, right? I don't want to sit still. My day, if it doesn't start with chaos, I feel something is wrong, right? Whereas many people think, oh my goodness, my chaos should go away. I think more chaos, bring it on, right? I love what life throws at me. There's this one life moment that happened in my life. We were, as a family, we were in Hawaii. Mayur and I, my son, we were in the water. There was a hurricane warning. And we were enjoying it. We were standing in the water, not even swimming. And the riptide caught us and it pulled us out in the sea. So both of us now, at that time, Samir, no worries. At that time, Samir was not a very, Mayur was not a strong swimmer. And so I said, hey, just float. And then we called for help. And Kohinoor thought she, I was waving at her. She started waving. I said, we are here. So, then finally she realized we are in trouble. And then people tried to reach us and they couldn't, because the tide was so strong that they couldn't reach us and we couldn't come to shore. And then one of the guys who was probably, knew the island life, he said, hey, don't fight the tide. Move parallel to the coast and see where you can come in easily. So then we started swimming parallel to the coast, not towards the coast and shore. That actually tells you about life. Sometimes you shouldn't fight things that you can't change, right? And so that's what I've always tried to do in my life. That there are some things you want to fight because you enjoy it and there is a chance of success. But some things you just don't want to fight and just change your approach to things, and that helps.
So I don't feel like stopping, and there is a very rare chance I get to speak to you for such a long. But I think we need to end
Wrap
somewhere.
up, yes.
Maybe we need to have one more part where I can ask you more questions about Humantronic or AI. Maybe that can be our another series. But to end, before we end, I would like to have a rapid fire round with you.
Sure.
Okay. So you have spent years helping enterprise managing contact. We didn't talk about iCertis. I know. Again, I said maybe we need to have one more episode or series.
Yeah.
So looking back, what has been harder to negotiate? $1 million deals, technology shift, or your own assumptions?
My own assumptions, by far. No comparison.
Okay. One decision you regretted.
I was not very empathetic about people, in the sense that I always said that emotion and passion have to be kept separate, right? So when it had to be decisions where passion and business was involved, then emotion had to take a back step. Now I'm more pragmatic. I think there's a balance there that you really have to worry about.
I
and that is
haven't
important.
seen that in 2006. You were always empathetic towards
No.
people.
So there's a difference between being empathetic and actually then having to separate it out when needed, right? So the thing about me is, I've all my life, including with me and my decisions, I've been very pragmatic. Right? There's zero ego.
Yes,
You say, hey,
definitely.
jhadu marna hai aaj, so I'll do it. Because there's absolutely no ego in there. But the thing about it is, not everyone thinks about it like that. So you have to be sensitive. And I feel that everybody thinks like me, which is not true. Right? So that I always consider my weakness. And I always consider, when I look back, I see the mistakes I made because I thought about it like that. And now, especially with my daughter being a neuroscientist, I now have more empathy towards it. People are different. The way they think is different. What they feel is important is different. And you have to think about that.
One decision you're proud of.
Starting Humanronic, for sure. I'm very proud of that. I think this was the right time, though the circumstances with which I was forced to do that were not good because of Samir. But I'm very proud of that. I think at this age, and then finding Kabir
Definitely.
and Archit, and going full throttle and enjoying it so thoroughly. I'm very proud of that.
Creating a wave or riding a wave? I kind of know, but still.
Yeah, riding a wave is easier. Creating a
Mm,
wave is very hard.
mm.
I don't think I still have the chops or the experience or the way to actually create a wave. That is hard. But riding a wave, definitely.
Okay. AI hype or AI revolution?
Oh, it's not just revolution, AI disruption.
Disruption?
So, absolutely. Life is going to change, is already changing, but life is going to change completely
Mm.
for everyone on the planet.
One job AI won't replace.
I
We
don't
talked
think
about
there's anything else. Maybe God. Right? I'm an
if,
atheist,
yeah,
but if there was
yeah,
a
same.
job of
That's what I
God,
was saying.
I think, yes.
Okay. Chasing profit or changing purpose?
That's a hard one. Uh, I would go with chasing profit. If I had to change my purpose, I would look at how to make money with my purpose that I believe in,
Correct.
as opposed to change.
First customer or first investor?
First customer, by far.
One Indian founder everyone should study.
Hmm. I wouldn't say founder, but someone who really made a big difference, FC Kohli, TCS.
Hmm.
Brilliant. You should really look at what he managed to do at that time in that era
In
for
yeah.
India. It was brilliant.
If you weren't in tech, what would you be?
I would be a gamer.
Yes.
I would have loved to do that as a career. And I wish I had let Mayur do that. I fought him for that because he was not, interested in studies
Study.
and he wanted to do video games, but I didn't realize how good he was. So
Hmm.
that's one of my regrets.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was wonderful talking to you, Monish. I know we
Same here.
went a little over time, but I feel like not stopping. But as I said, let's find another chance and talk more about AI and Humantronic.
No,
Thank you
absolutely. I
so
enjoyed
much.
the
Same,
conversation.
same.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Got
much.
a lot of good memories back.
Yes.
So thank you for
Thank you.
that.
Thank you so much.